Precisely 6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. JICA extends support for Sri Lanka's socio-economic development. The Premier instructed to resettle 12,000 families identified as living in high-risk areas in safe places as soon as possible. Vaccine booster dose for the people over 60 years of age will commence today. Health authorities warn the mass protests will lead to spread the virus further. All Buddhist Dhamma schools across the island will reopen on the 28th. Two newly accredited ambassadors and a high commissioner to Sri Lanka presented their credentials to the president. Pfizer to allow developing nations to make its COVID-19 treatment pill. On sports, Sri Lanka qualified for the finals of the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa Trophy Four Nations International Tournament. We move on to local news in detail now. The Japan International Cooperation Agency says that they are ready to support the socio-economic development needs of Sri Lanka. JICA Director General South Asia, Mr. Sakamoto Takema, made these remarks when he met President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the President's house in Colombo yesterday. President Rajapaksa recalled that when he was the Secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development, he was able to successfully implement a number of development projects in collaboration with JICA. Since 1965, the government has obtained Japanese official development assistance amounting to $8,829 million for 120 development projects, and Japanese assistance is provided through various schemes such as yen loan packages, project grant aid, non-project grant aid, feasibility studies, and technical cooperation programs. Currently, 14 projects with approximately total value of $2,500 million are being implemented under the JICA loan assistance, mainly under the sector of power, water supply and drainage, ports, transport, health, telecommunication, and rural development. Explaining the current progress of the development projects, the President said that he expects the assistance of JICA in areas of agriculture, skills development, health, and irrigation for the coming year. Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara, Ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka Hideaki Mizukoshi, and Yamada Tetsuya, JICA representative in Sri Lanka, were also present at the discussion. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa instructed to resettle 12,000 families identified as living in high-risk areas into safe places as soon as possible. Chairing a discussion held in Parliament yesterday on providing relief to the people affected by the adverse weather conditions, the Premier inquired about the measures taken so far and future plans regarding the provision of relief and compensation to the victims. It was also revealed that 31,475 people who were affected by the current epidemic are already being housed at the homes of their own relatives and friends and not in camps. The government has already provided 1 million rupees each to 21 districts to provide relief to those affected by the disaster. Initial compensation was also completed without delay. It was revealed that about 15,000 families have been identified as living in high-risk areas for a long time, but so far only 3,000 families have been evacuated and relocated to safer places. Accordingly, the Prime Minister instructed that 12,000 families currently living in high-risk areas be resettled in safe places as soon as possible. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana said Sri Lanka will commence administering the Pfizer vaccine as the booster dose to those over the age of 60 starting from today. He said that the COVID-19 booster vaccine rollout will be carried out in the western and southern provinces and in Anuradhapura and Ampara districts from today. The third dose will be administered to persons in the age group of 60 years and above who have completed 3 months after receiving the second dose. Professor Jayasumana said regardless of which type of vaccine had been administered as the first and second dose, the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine will be provided as the third dose. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news. We continue with more stories here at home. 18 coronavirus deaths have been confirmed yesterday. The Government Information Department said the deaths were reported for the 15th of November. Sri Lanka's coronavirus death toll accordingly increases to 14,034. 9 males and 9 females were among the victims. 2 newly accredited ambassadors and a high commissioner to Sri Lanka presented their credentials to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the President's house in Colombo yesterday. The new ambassadors were appointed by Japan and Thailand to Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, the High Commissioner has been appointed by South Africa. Accordingly, H.E. Hanpol presented credentials as Ambassador of Thailand. His Excellency Sandil Edwin Shock presented credentials as High Commissioner of South Africa, and His Excellency Hideaki Mizukoshi presented credentials as Ambassador of Japan. The new envoys informed the President that they are committed to developing long-term relations between Sri Lanka and their countries in new spheres. President Rajapaksa briefed the new envoys on the steps taken by the government since the outbreak of COVID-19, the progress made with vaccinations and the economic challenges in controlling the COVID-19 pandemic. President Rajapaksa emphasized the need for all nations to work together and support each other in this regard. The envoys commended the President on the progress made by Sri Lanka in controlling the COVID-19 pandemic and in terms of vaccination. That's local news for the moment.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The Department of Buddhist Affairs announced that all Buddhist Dhamma schools across the island will reopen on November 28th. This was mentioned in a letter directed by Commissioner General of Buddhist Affairs Sunanda Karyaperuma to all theras of District Divisional Mandala and District Divisional Secretaries. Resuming in-person lessons at Dhamma schools is subjected to the updated health guidelines specified by the Ministry of Health in its instructions for selected public activities and work settings for the prevention and control of COVID-19. As per the guidelines, frequent hand washing, respiratory etiquette and distancing should be practiced by teachers to set an example to the students. Dhamma schools must ensure that facilities are available for hand washing and that there are adequate supplies of soap, detergents and cleaning equipment.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
Public Health Inspectors Union President Upul Rohana says that large demonstrations by political parties or organizations have to be postponed for the sake of the safety of the innocent people of the country, as the number of COVID-19 infected people is on the increase again. He said the political demonstrations against the government plan by the Samagi Jana Balavege held yesterday will lead to the spread of the virus further.
If you follow technical and vocational education and training courses, select a course registered and accredited institute by TVEC. Be aware on unregistered institutes which are promoting without having registration. Visit www.tvec.gov.lk for more information. Message from Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
Coming up, World News.
World News headlines: COVID-19, Pfizer to allow developing nations to make its treatment pill. Gas prices soar after setback for Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Russian anti-satellite missile test poses no threats to Moscow. U.S. drug company Pfizer has penned a deal to allow its experimental COVID-19 treatment pill to be made and sold in 95 developing nations. The deal with the UN-backed medicines patent pool not-for-profit could make the treatment available to 53% of the world's population. But it excludes several countries that have had large COVID-19 outbreaks, including Brazil. Pfizer says the pill lessens the risk of severe disease in vulnerable adults. In a statement on Tuesday, Pfizer said the agreement will allow local medicine manufacturers to produce the pill with the goal of facilitating greater access to the global population. Pfizer will not receive royalties on sales in lower-income countries and said it would waive royalties in all nations included in the agreement while COVID remains a World Health Organization designated public health emergency. UK and EU wholesale gas prices have risen by 17% after Germany's energy regulator suspended approval of the controversial Nord Stream 2 natural gas pipeline from Russia to Germany. It said the pipeline's operating company needed to be compliant with German law before it would certify the €10 billion project. Critics fear the pipeline will increase Europe's energy dependence on Russia. The pipeline was finished in September, but it had been beset by delays. Running under the Baltic Sea, Nord Stream 2 will double Moscow's gas exports to Germany, but will also circumvent Ukraine, which relies on existing pipelines for income and would be hard hit by the loss of transit fees. Finally, on world news, debris formed after a Russian anti-missile test do not pose any threat to space activities, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu has said. He said the missile had struck an old Russian satellite dating back to the 1980s with clinical precision. The US earlier condemned Russia for conducting a dangerous and irresponsible test on Monday. It said space debris had forced the crew aboard the International Space Station to shelter in capsules. The ISS currently has 7 crew members on board, 4 Americans, 2 Russians and a German, and orbits at an altitude of about 260 miles. That's world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Singapore Airlines today resumes daily services between Colombo and Singapore, increasing flight frequencies to 7 times weekly from 5 weekly flights. Flight SQ469 departs from Colombo at 45 hours and arrives in Singapore at 7:20 hours. Flight SQ468 departs from Singapore at 22:10 hours and arrives in Colombo. SIA operates the Airbus A350-900 aircraft between Colombo and Singapore with 40 business class seats and 263 economic class seats.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on with sports news.
Sri Lanka beat Bangladesh by 1-2 and selected for finals of the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa Trophy Four Nations International Tournament last night. The match was played at the Racecourse Grounds in Colombo. Forward Ahmed Wazim Razik opened an account scoring the first goal for Sri Lanka in the 25th minute, while after the breather substitute Joel Rana restored the parity for Bangladesh in the 71st minute of the match. Razik sealed the victory, scoring his second goal for Sri Lanka, converting a spot kick in the 91st minute of the match. Sri Lanka will play the final match against Seychelles, who earlier confirmed their ticket of final as the first team eliminating the Maldives after playing to a goalless draw in the first match of the day.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U-Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Commercial Bank reported robust top and bottom line performance as the bank moved ahead with new loans, lower funding costs and cut provisions from last year. The bank reported a net interest income of 16.38 billion rupees in the July-September quarter, up 16.72% from a year ago as the bank's interest income rose by 3.89% to 32.87 billion rupees. The interest expense fell by 6.34% to 16.49 billion rupees, made possible by the accumulation of low-cost funds.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, the Colombo Stock Exchange set a new record yesterday as the all-share price index surpassed 11,000 points for the first time in history. The ASPI closed at 11,008.33 points at the end of trading yesterday, marking an increase of 2.38% from the previous day.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning. With video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
Showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamu, central, northwestern and northern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. A few showers are likely in Anuradhapura district. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere, particularly during the afternoon or night. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamu, central and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning. With video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
Back to the headlines. JICA extends support for Sri Lanka's socio-economic development. The Premier instructed to resettle 12,000 families identified as living in high-risk areas into safer places as soon as possible. Vaccine booster dose for the people over 60 years of age will commence today. Health authorities warn the mass protests will lead to the spread of the virus further. All Buddhist Dhamma schools across the island will reopen on the 28th. 2 newly accredited ambassadors and High Commissioner to Sri Lanka presented their credentials to the President. News overseas, Pfizer to allow developing nations to make its COVID-19 treatment pill. Sports, Sri Lanka qualified for the finals of the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa Trophy 4 Nations International Tournament. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.